This is an apple. But if I told you enough lies, I bet I could convince you that this was a pineapple. Don't believe me? All that and more coming up today on The Quisha King Show. The Democrats are really good at trying to sell us things that we already have. They're trying to tell you that you need voting rights, but everybody can vote. They're trying to tell you that America's racist, and if you're a black or brown person, that you're oppressed and you don't have any rights and you need to protest the government. But there is literally no right that black or brown people don't have that others do. We literally have all the things that we need to be successful in this country. We have everything that we need to be successful in this country, but that doesn't stop them from trying to convince you that you don't have these things. And I find that particularly evil because it reminds me of the Bible. Do you remember that story? Just this tiny little story of God creating humanity. And he creates humanity, and one day this serpent comes along and he's talking to Eve, and he tells her that God didn't really say that you don't have to not eat of this tree. He tells her that if you eat of this tree, that you will in fact have all of these things. And it intrigued Eve. That's why she ate. But if you think about it, everything that the enemy, the devil, Satan, told Eve that she didn't have, she already had. He was actually enticing her with lack, although God had already promised abundance. He was enticing her with things that she already had. And you might be thinking like, well, how can somebody convince someone else of something that they are in possession of that they don't really have that thing? Well, I can assure you it happens all the time. That's why we have cults. That's why you guys have heard me say over and over again that the Democrat Party is a cult. And what we see in America happening are it's brainwashed, unfortunately. They're brainwashed members. They're cult members, people that vote for people like Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and Tim Walz. But we probably think like, well, that could never happen to me. That could never happen. I could never be convinced that the apple I just showed you is really something else because I can touch it, I can feel it, I know what apples are. And so no one could ever possibly convince me that that's not what it is. But it happens all the time, especially in politics. Before we dive on into that conversation, let me first give you our first sponsor. So I created a product along with my fiance called Gold Lush. Gold Lush is an all-natural makeup remover and oil cleanser. And we also have a facial cleanser for men. Gold Lush is made by God's Stuff. Why? Because it's the best stuff. It helps you keep your skin looking radiant, glowing, clean, and balanced. If your skin is too dry, too oily, or if you're suffering from acne, Gold Lush can really help clean your skin and get rid of those blemishes and acne that you do not want. So go to godstuffbeauty.com and get free shipping and also a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. You can't lose. It's free shipping and it's a 30-day money-back guarantee. And that is godstuffbeauty.com. So these people are trying to convince you that you don't have the rights that you already have. And in exchange for voting for them, they're going to give you more rights that you already have. But actually, it's very deceitful, because the thing that they want to give you in exchange for your rights is it actually takes away from what you already have, which is, like I said, it's particularly evil. So, for instance, Kamala goes around before she started to run for president. She's like, I'm, don't come to the border. Don't come to the border. She was named the border czar and all these things. Now she's not the border czar. The media will try to get you back. They're trying to memory hole, her being the border czar. They are trying to make you forget that she was calling herself the border czar, that she was in fact in charge. And the way she presents this to Americans is so deceitful. She was in charge of the border. Whether you want to call her a border czar, a border lady, whatever, it doesn't matter. Her job was to close the border. So they say. But she never did any of that. And now she wants to say that we're going to get tough on the border. So take a look at Kamala back in the day. This is South one.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur. But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
So if that is true, then how did we manage to get like 14 million people into the country? Because you can't be that bad at your job. It's the same thing as the Trump assassination attempt. You just can't be that incompetent. But it was done on purpose and purposely to deceive you. Because then we all know that they did nothing for the border. In fact, they actually withheld support from the border. Take a look at the border. Take a look at the Border Patrol Council president.
Kamala Harris knows what she needs to do. I was there. I gave her all of the policies that she needed, all of them, and she refused to implement them. She does not care about you. She does not care about the safety of this country. He does. This is the man for the presidency.
Thank you. Wow.
That's the Border Patrol Council president who says, I gave her all of the things that she needed to enforce the law, which I don't even know why would you need to even go to the Border Patrol Council president to enforce the law? You're the vice president, president and vice president of the United States. If you wanted the border closed, you would do it. But she doesn't. She's on one hand saying, see, this is an apple. Don't pay any attention. It's an apple, everybody. But it's really something else. And so she flip-flops in front, just depending on what audience she's in front of, because she doesn't care about giving you the truth of who she really is. This should be disturbing to you. It's disturbing for me. It is utterly disgusting that people will get up here and just say anything because they know that no one will hold them to account. No one will press her. Still to this day, after the announcement of her running for president, she's still not being pressed on why she's flip-flopping on all of these important issues. That should bother you. It should bother you that she doesn't have the respect for you, respect for your vote, to sit down and answer tough questions. And this is a media that the questions are not gonna be hard, okay? Let's be real. they're not going to be hard because they don't press Democrats like that. But she won't even sit down for that. And so you have to just come to the conclusion that she just wants the border open. And not only does she want the border open, she wants the people that have been in these detention centers, she wants them released also. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Sally Hartman. I'm a volunteer with the Center for Worker Justice. I want to know, when you become president, would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one. On day one. And thank you for...
Close the detention centers, okay? You heard it. And what are we supposed to think? Oh, that's when she's going to send them back home. No. She's going to close the detention centers and put them in your community, my community, okay? That's what she's going to do. I don't know how people can overlook her flagrant lies. It quite literally pisses me off that someone would have the gall to get on camera, run for a political office so important like the President of the United States, and just totally lie to you, all of us. Like we don't see what we know we're seeing. It's truly quite fascinating. So she fails on the border, and then, another promise, another lie from the pit of hell, if in my opinion, because it really does feel like hell, is inflation or abundance, wealth, the thing that, like in the garden, God promised. Oh, here's every tree that you can eat of freely. I'm going to give you every tree freely. But here comes Satan. But this one tree. So you turn down all the trees for the one tree. Like, it's just, we really should start examining why, some of the decisions that we make. Here is God. You can have all the trees. And here's the devil. I got one tree for you. And we're like, yeah, that one tree. Forget all the other trees. Give me the one tree. Give me the lack. Give me lesser. It's crazy. But this is what this party is doing. And the ringleader is Kamala Harris. So here's what she says first about abundance and Bidenomics. Remember this?
Bidenomics is working.
Meanwhile,
most renters feel like they will never be able to own a home.
The typical starter home is now worth more than $1 million. For many buyers, that means achieving the American dream of owning a home is increasingly difficult, if not impossible.
And Bidenomics is working.
Listen to this stat. Since 2020, food prices have increased 26%, and we are all feeling it when we go grocery shopping.
Bidenomics, it's working. It's a term we're very proud of, I must tell you.
Gas prices are on the climb across the U.S.
Prices are nowhere near the levels they were at in 2020.
And Bidenomics is working.
So if you get 3 consecutive monthly readings on job gains that are less than 125,000, I'm beginning to smell a recession.
Bidenomics is working.
it's working.
Yeah, so she's going to continue to try to make you believe that this Bidenomics is good. She won't stop. They won't stop lying until you actually press them on stuff. They won't stop lying until someone holds them accountable. This is insane. These are people's livelihoods. She doesn't care. You just have to deal with the reality. It's an apple. She don't care. That's what it is. And you can't make someone care. You just can't do it. It has to be in them to do. And the longer she gets to parade around and lie to you and it just be fine, she still knows she's going to get votes from a certain demographic of people. She's never going to change. We can pull out all the stats that we want, but she will never change these things. And so we know that this quote unquote Bidenomics is not working. Not only is it not working, but it is causing real harm to Americans. Take a look at what Congressman Byron Donalds laid out.
Nearly 1/3 of parents say they cannot afford back-to-school shopping for their kids this year.
A new study conducted on behalf of Credit Karma shows 50% of parents plan to sacrifice necessities in order to get enough school supplies. That includes sacrificing groceries and paying bills. A national report finds families are now spending an average of $874 just on school supplies and electronics.
This is insane. You can't even afford to get your kids back to school stuff, back to school supplies. I mean, how much more do we need to see here? Here's another interesting thing. So Kamala clearly does not understand economics, clearly, because she thinks that Bidenomics is good. So that's very revealing right there, because she doesn't have to work for her paycheck. She can literally do nothing. She can fail up, and she will be rewarded with our taxpayer dollars to pay her salary. So she doesn't care. Like I said, it has to be in you, but it's not in her to care. She's going to take her money, our money that we pay her, and she can buy whatever she needs for her family. They're not worried about it. But it tells you that she doesn't really understand how economics works, because she thinks, this is insane, she thinks that she can set prices for businesses. This is going into communism, you guys. She thinks that she can set the prices and everything be fine. Take a look at this.
Because while our economy is doing well by many measures, prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high. You know it and I know it. You know, when I was Attorney General, I went after price-fixing schemes. And when I am president, it will be a day one priority to fight to bring down prices. I will take on big corporations that engage in illegal price gouging. I will take on corporate landlords that unfairly raise rents on working families. I will take on big pharma and cap the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans, and continue to bring manufacturing jobs back to America and back to communities like Eau Claire.
Bull crap. First of all, you can't set prices, and here's why. So let's just say I'm a business owner and I want to produce this mouse. Well, there are different components of the mouse. I might have to go to one manufacturer for the little rolly ball, and then I might have to go to another manufacturer for the casing, and there's travel that will be getting these goods from one warehouse to another, getting it to the stores and getting it to you. All of these things come into play. When the government tries to set the price of a product, now, the product can be labor, because your work has a price. You're charging X amount of dollars for your labor. It could be product. It could be a physical product. It could be whatever the thing is. When the government tries to tell a business what they can sell something for, they don't think about all the other people that are involved with setting the price where it is, and the supply and demand of that thing. because depending upon the supply and demand of that thing, what it costs to make, what it costs to get to you, what it costs, what the shelf you're going to put the product on, what that store is going to buy that from you. The government doesn't take that into consideration. All they're looking at is the end price, saying, oh, well, that's too high. That hurts businesses, okay? It hurts businesses and most likely will cause those businesses to go out of business, because the government saying you can only charge this or you have to charge that messes with the whole entire process of how they get the products and services and your labor to you in the first place. And so all of these things together, the government has no way to control all these things for all these different businesses to make sure that you can live the life that you want to live. It is impossible. So when you hear her saying things like this, it should let you know that she's lying to you. She's trying to sell you something that has already been taken care of. That's why we like the free market system, because we let the market set the price. The government should not be in any of that, because first of all, I don't think Kamala has ever signed the front of a paycheck. I don't think she even knows how to run a business. And many times these politicians want to have their nose in business and have never ever done business before. I remember there was a congressman who was a lefty, and he was talking about, we got to have minimum wage and we need more taxes. We got to tax these corporations. Well, he left Congress, and him and his wife tried to start a bed and breakfast. Well, he went out of business. Why? Because the taxes that he promoted and voted into law was too high for himself. These people are talking out of theory. They have no idea what these things actually do. And when business owners and when voters are trying to tell them, hey, this is not working for us, they don't care, because it sounds good. And they're trying to convince those who aren't looking into anything or just frankly aren't smart enough to know that the principle is flawed in the first place. The premise of what they're saying, fixed prices, you can't do that. And so it ends up hurting everybody. Nobody wins. Nobody wins. And again, you end up losing, and something that you actually wanted and needed is now taken away from you. And the final thing, this is probably one of the bigger things that has been in the news lately, taxes. So you recently heard Kamala Harris say that she was going to cut tax on tips. That sounds good, and obviously, we've been hearing Donald Trump say that for weeks now, that he wants to cut taxes on tips. Why? Because he was listening to a waitress in Las Vegas who said, yeah, they're really going hard on taxing us on our tips. So Trump was talking about that. Now here's Kamala. Now she's saying, we need to tax the tips. I'm sorry. She's saying now that, no, we're not going to tax tips. The only problem is the reason why the taxes are there in the first place is because she signed it into law. In fact, she has a tweet that says, I was proud to cast the tie-breaking vote to pass our Inflation Reduction Act. Remember that? The act that was supposed to reduce inflation, it actually upped inflation. Another lie. But it sounds good, so it works. So to pass our Inflation Reduction Act, which has capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Now Congress must pass a bill that extends the cap to all Americans. Well, there's just one problem. She doesn't actually believe in not taxing tips, because in that Inflation Reduction Act was where the tax on tips came from. SOT 6, I believe.
The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the concurrent resolution as amended is adopted.
She cast the deciding vote to pass the American Rescue Plan, which pushed inflation, supporting all the spending that President Biden signed into law, and people are still struggling to pay bills.
Even some former Obama economists had said the American Rescue Plan has contributed to the inflation that we're seeing today.
It's definitely too big for the moment. I don't know any economist that was recommending something the size that what was done.
The tremendous wall of money just sets off a dynamic. Then the thing about inflation is you start chasing your tail.
Did it create inflation? Did $2 trillion of deficit spending create inflation?
It did boost demand, and that is one of several factors that are involved in inflation.
There are 15,000 people in Beaufort County who are food insecure, and the line of people in need seems to be growing.
Higher gas prices and rent also helped push inflation up.
Economic indicators point to extreme pain.
The Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the concurrent resolution as amended is adopted. All of this is part of our blueprint together for what America can be. This is Bidenomics.
Yeah, so there you go, everybody. She literally has lied to you once again, saying that she wants to not tax tips, but she signed it into law. Sounds good up front, but what is she actually doing? She's not for you. I know it's hard to believe, oh, she's a woman, she's black, she ain't for you. She's not for anybody. Kamala is for herself. They try to say that that's Trump, but Trump is the one who was like, you know what? This is a hard thing for waiters and waitresses and caddies and bartenders, people who rely on tips, and actually provided a solution. He wasn't the one who actually signed the act to tax you in the first place. But he's like, oh, let me help the people. Let me try to give them some relief. She doesn't want that. She doesn't want to help. She wants to harm. Speaking of help, do you have any aches and pains? Chronic inflammation might be the culprit. Meet Sweetamine, the natural way to fight inflammation. Sweetamine is packed with the amino acid glycine, the same nutrient found in bone broth that helps regulate inflammation. Many of the diseases we face today are rooted in glycine deficiency. Just one daily serving of Sweetamine provides 8 grams of glycine, enough to stop excess inflammation right where it starts. Most people feel pain reduction after just a few days. Perfect for post-workout recovery, Sweetamine is all natural, contains no sugar or carbs, and has only 24 calories. It's ideal for diabetics too. Use it like sugar in your favorite drinks, smoothies, or sprinkled on cereal. Try our 12-day challenge trial pack for only $19.95 with free shipping and completely risk-free. And for a limited time, enter promo code KING, K-I-N-G, at checkout for a $5 discount. Order Sweetamine now at sweetamine.com, or you can call 855-GET-SWEET. That's 855-438-7933. Live pain-free with Sweetamine and take the challenge today. All right, everybody, Tim Walz. So Kamala has announced her VP, and it ain't going so well. So the man has lied about his valor, his military reputation. He's also pushing, he's the governor of Minnesota, and while being governor of Minnesota, he promoted and pushed this idea that he was going to separate children from their parents. And remember, separating children from the parents and the border and all that kind of stuff, and you know, that was a big deal. Well, he's saying, no, we're going to separate children from their parents if the parents don't want their children to get life-altering, body-mutilating surgeries. So, quote unquote, trans kids, which there is no thing as a trans kid, but these kids who are deceived. He wants to separate them from their parents, the only loving people in their lives who are concerned enough about them to say, no, we're not going to allow you to mutilate your body because that's just not that's not in your best interest. He's like, nah, I know what's best. I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. So move out of the way, parents. Here comes Governor Tim. And now they're trying to say the media is trying to gaslight us and memory hold this as well and say he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. We don't know what you guys are talking about. You guys are crazy. He never said any of this stuff. He was actually in Afghanistan fighting, which he wasn't. But they don't want to hold him accountable. They don't want to realize that this man, yes, he actually did want to separate children from their families and tamponed him, as some are calling him, wanted to put tampons in the boys' bathrooms. They're also trying to say he never did that. This is a lie. Well, my girl Megyn Kelly, who I think is really fantastic, she laid into the media regarding the gaslighting that we have all been enduring about Tim Walz. Take a look.
This same dishonest partisan hack media is telling us that Governor Walz did not make Minnesota a refuge for kids with gender confusion, that he did not sign a law allowing young children to come to Minnesota fleeing their parents who do not wish for them to cut off their healthy genitals, that he did not allow courts to take custody of these young confused children and allow minors to sterilize and mutilate themselves away from their loving parents. But he did. He did exactly that. And finally, they're telling us that Tim Walz did not sign a law mandating tampons in all grades 4 through 12 bathrooms, including the boys' bathrooms. Except he did, and there's no doubt about it. The law says tampons must be made available to menstruating students in all bathrooms used by kids in grades 4 through 12. Republicans tried to amend the bill to limit the language to only girls' bathrooms. That amendment was defeated. The sponsor of the law said, quote, trans boys, meaning girls pretending to be boys, need tampons too, and therefore sanitary products must be placed in the boys' rooms.
The products must be available to all menstruating students. I think there was some discussion earlier about boys' bathrooms. And would that allow a school district, at least now, especially in the elementary age, to not have to put these products into the boys' bathroom?
This bill requires that schools provide free period products in all student bathrooms grades 4 through 12. Trans boys menstruate, and they use boys' bathrooms and would need these products. In order to ensure that all menstruating students have full access to period products, it is important that we include them in all bathrooms where trans students who menstruate may need to access them.
Okay.
It's really sad. These people are evil. They are evil. They don't want you to say, that's a boy, that's an apple, that's a girl. They want you to believe that right is wrong and wrong is right. I don't know what you can call it except for evil, because this level of deception just doesn't happen by itself unless it's on purpose. How wicked is it for a man to say that he's going to take children from their parents because they want to mutilate their bodies and believe that they are something else? I mean, we're not talking like, oh, I want to be a famous singer one day, and your parents are like, no, you're better at math. We're talking about mutilating your child's body. And if they will lie to you about men being men, women being women, and there's nothing that you can do about that, And reproductive rights is not really abortion. You know, all these made up words that they do. If they will lie to you about that, these fundamental things that we need as human beings, that we need to be, that are solid and unmovable, they are fixed. If they will lie to you about these foundational, fundamental things that are easily proven, what won't they lie about? You have to question these people. And I don't care what side you're on, the right, the left, question these politicians. Go and check out what they're saying. Because they literally could be promising you something. They could be promising you the abundance. But really what you're getting is lack. They could be promising you something greater than what you have. And what they're actually doing is taking away what you already have. So it behooves you to look into these people, because these issues are serious. These issues are they are detrimental to the life, the surviving of our nation. You have to take these things seriously and look into these people. All right, so that brings me to our last sponsor of the day, which is Genesis Gold Group. With so many options available for Americans to protect their retirement or wealth with physical precious metals, it's hard to know who to trust. Our partners at Genesis Gold Group are a faith-driven gold and silver company that is unabashedly America first. They don't try to hook people with free silver that isn't really free. Instead, they treat their customers with respect and help guide them to securing their retirement. Visit rumblegold.com today to get their free definitive gold guide. That's rumblegold.com. All right, you guys. So this was shocking, but not really, but still shocking. Let's talk about our Commie of the Week. Okay, so our Commie of the Week is Tilly Torres. Good old Tilly, a high school English teacher for East Las Vegas branch of Matter Academy. Let's take a look at what this communist said.
Growing up, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher because I saw education for what it really was, the greatest instrument of social justice in this country.
The greatest instrument of social justice in this country, education. This is the training ground for their cult members. This is how you get radical kids. They have strategically, the left, communists, they have strategically embedded themselves in the education system from the universities all the way down to K through 12. Because where else can you get a guaranteed young group of people that will show up Monday through Friday for 7 to 8 hours a day with no parents there to monitor what they're pouring into your kids? Where else can you get that but the public school system? When that door closes, you don't know what that teacher is telling your children. They might think like Tilly, that social justice, which is connected to communism, that is the best place for these ideas to be pushed onto kids. That is crazy. That is crazy talk. This lady definitely deserves Commie of the Week, because who knew that they would just say the quiet part out loud, just flat out like that? And, you know, people were calling me crazy, calling some of my conservative friends crazy, moms and dads who were pushing back against this critical race theory and things like this, when we were saying they're actually radicalizing kids in the classroom. Yeah, when all the BLM stuff was going on, there were teachers who were getting kids to make signs in the classroom for the protest. There were teachers who were getting kids to literally put on shirts and stand in front of schools and protest for whatever, for things that they thought was good, like reproductive rights, abortion, killing innocent children. They were having your child put on their attire while you're at work or while you're doing what you have to do to provide for these these little children and telling them to, yeah, go say this and go do that. Could be totally against your values, but they don't care. And they're not going to tell you about it. And they don't even want you to be able to ask. So Tilly Torres is our commie of the week. All right, everybody, that is our show for today. Make sure you like, comment down below, and let me know what you think about the topics that we discussed today. And please share this out. I mean, I think that the content here is really good, and I hope you do too. So that is one way that you can support the channel and share this video. So, like I always say, whom the sun sets free is free indeed. So go get free. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.